less," said Pat. "It's grades he needs to focus on, not Celtic poets." Then there was Lizzie's grandson, Jacob, who, despite being in the most sought-after school in Boroughbridge, with the most sought-after teacher in school, the 5-star Mrs. Bell, was industriously working his way through every scrap of special needs support going. Plus, there were increasingly persistent episodes of what Liz termed the meltdowns. The latest worrying news on the subject, related by Liz with her trademark frown, were worrying allusions from the school about the possibility of certain avenues, regrettably, being explored. They were winding their session down, discussing the latest saga of the executive head of their old school and her new personalised number plates, which says everything there is to be said about the academy system, was Thelma's dark comment, when Liz said brightly and suddenly, "It's Topsy," almost as if discussion of their former workplace had somehow conjured their one-time colleague into existence. Thelma and Pat scanned the café. Thelma expected to see competent, if a trifle sombre features that perfectly matched the no-nonsense handwriting in children's reading records. Read with some fluency, "Please try and finish this book at home." Pat instinctively checked her bust, smoothed her wavy, henna'd hair, and adjusted her floaty bright scarf, remembering as clearly as if she'd just heard it the grunt of disapproval in the back of the throat, which had accompanied so many of the things she had done in front of Topsy over the years. Liberal use of glitter, impressions of the school secretary, over-enthusiastic renditions of "We're going on a bear hunt." The person they saw first was not Topsy, but Kellyanne, Topsy's only daughter, once a golden-haired princess, now somewhat older, somewhat larger, with her mother's set, sombre Yorkshire face, but still the princess trappings, pink Chanel coat, Michael Kors handbag, the golden locks obviously done somewhere a sight more expensive than curl up and dye, the salon they all used. She was scanning the busy-ish room for an empty table. Thelma, who had a thing about old black and white films, was immediately put in mind of Betty Davis. She could almost see the think bubble forming above Kellyanne's head with the words, "What a dump." And standing next to Kellyanne, a figure, arm being clutched like a child on a crossing, a stooped figure, an impression of bewilderment, a flushed face, slightly shaking, looking belligerently around as if she was wondering where she was and just what was expected of her. Then the face suddenly clicked into focus, and they both saw in it the once efficient, if formidable features of their former nursery nurse, Topsy Joy. Her name had always reminded Pat, who had a habit of assigning people titles and names, of something out of a children's picture book. Topsy Joy at the park, Topsy Joy at the seaside. Maybe that was why Topsy could be such a tartar, to compensate for any wrong impression that might have been given by her name. When Kellyanne heard Liz and saw the three of them all sitting there, her face smoothed out into sudden, sunny lines of relief, almost as if she had expected them to be there and had been looking for them. "Look who it is," she said brightly, giving Topsy a slight shake. "Mother, look who it is." She smiled radiantly across at them. Something about her brightness, about the deliberate nature of her words to Topsy, gave an impression of their being underlined in pink highlighter pen. The three exchanged surreptitious glances. That was not how one spoke to Topsy. Not ever. But then, Topsy didn't seem aware of much at all. She scanned them vaguely as Kellyanne gently led her over. "Now then." Liz stood up. But Topsy took a step back from the slight, smiling figure in the green cardigan, peering at the greying short hair, the frown lines, as if trying to bring to mind some buried memory. "Long time no see," said Liz with less certainty. It had, in fact, been over 18 months since they'd seen her at Gordon's funeral, since they stood huddled together in Baldersby churchyard, Topsy's face a set mask and Kellyanne's somehow reduced to the dimensions of a shrunken child. "We've just come for a run out. Blow away the old cobwebs," said Kellyanne. "Haven't we, Mother?" There it was again, the warm, cheerful but deliberate tone, and, they all noticed, with a definite, weary edge. They all looked at Topsy, who looked back like someone straining to